good plug? Okay. Good. So happy Mother's Day. I did a little research on Mother's Day because I was just curious about how it's been celebrated here in the U.S. and how long it's been celebrated. And I found out a couple of interesting things. Before the Civil War, there was actually a group set up called the Mother's Day Work Club. And the Mother's Day Work Club was a place where moms could go together, where they could learn how to be good moms. Right? You know, back before the Civil War, life was hard for kids. And so, well, it was hard for everybody. So I think that's kind of cool. So these clubs started forming, and the women would meet on a weekly basis and learn about mothering. But after the Civil War, their job actually became a lot deeper and a lot more powerful. They were called to help be the mediators between the retired soldiers. Because after the Civil War, our country was divided. And it took a long time to even start the process of healing. So these mothers would meet with these soldiers to help with the reconciliation efforts. In 1870, this is still in the 1800s now, right? 1870, there was a Mother's Day proclamation issued. And it was a call to action for mothers to unite for world peace. Not just peace in the U.S., for world peace. Now, in the early 1900s, there was a lady named Anna Jarvis, and she wanted to organize a holiday that honored the sacrifices moms made for their kids. And so she started the Mother's Day International group, and they did letter writing campaigns, and they got together with florists, because they had the florists convinced, if we can turn Mother's Day into a holiday, you'll sell a lot of flowers. So she got the backing of every florist she could reach. And in 1914, it was added to the calendar as an official holiday. Now, what's kind of funny is 6 years later, Anna Jarvis was actually disgusted at how commercialized the holiday had become. And she spent the rest of her days trying to get it removed from the calendar. All right. So there's your trivia for today. There's your trivia. Now, of course, around the country today, we have different churches doing their own version of a Mother's Day talk. And so my talk is the Divine Mother. But, you know, when I first started thinking about the Divine Mother, what came to mind was mother goddesses, right? That's what I used to think about, was the mother goddesses. Like the Greek goddess Hera. Hera was a mother goddess, however. She's most well known for her jealousy and her vengeful nature. And she was up to here in family drama. Her husband, she had a terrible husband. Zeus was unfaithful to her. He had like half god, half human children all over the planet. So life was hard for Hera. And so you can see she's pretty focused on just getting even with Zeus and all his lovers. The Egyptian goddess Isis was also a mother goddess. However, she's most known for being the goddess of mourning or grieving. Right? She was also up to here in family drama. When her son was a grown man, she convinced him to kill her brother because her brother was trying to be the lead god in the Egyptian pantheon. All right? And then, of course, at the last minute, she intervenes, which just causes more drama. The Hindu goddess Kali. Now, we all know Kali as the goddess of death and destruction. But do you know she was also a mother goddess? Though she devoured her babies as soon as she gave birth to them. So, right? Moms, right? They're either the wind beneath our wings or the force that eats them. So the aspects, what I had to learn was that the aspects of the Divine Mother are different than the aspects of the goddesses, the mother goddesses. The mother goddesses had a lot of traits that were not divine because the gods and goddesses of our cultural pantheons are created by humans. It's our worst fears, our deepest longings, our biggest frailties, our biggest shortcomings we project onto those gods and goddesses. So the goddesses were created by humans. However, humanity was created by the Divine Mother. Now, in the Unity tradition, coming here back in 2000 was the very first time I ever heard the phrase, Mother, Father, God. And when I heard Mother, Father, God, at first it seemed kind of weird. But then I was like, that's a really beautiful way to be given the opportunity to imagine the divine feminine along with the divine masculine in a divine that is unknowable to us. So we can imagine the divine mother and the divine father within something that is unimaginable. And that's very powerful. So the qualities of the divine goddess are available, or the divine mother, are available to us because they are a quality of being. Okay, the qualities of the divine mother are the qualities within us that allows us to align with our divine nature, to be in communion with God, and to see God in the world around us, to see God as that everywhere present force. Of course, I wanted to know the difference in the qualities of the divine mother and the divine father. So I went to Joseph Campbell, who I see as the father of mythology. And he said, this is the difference between the divine masculine and feminine. The female is the giver of form. She is the vehicle for life, the giver of nourishment. She prepares you for the hero's journey. The mother gives birth to nature. The father gives birth to character. The mother is about love. The father is about social order. The mother's job is to be. The father's job is to act. Okay, so those are the differences there. Now, they're all qualities of being that we can call upon. And since today's Mother's Day, we're going to talk about the Divine Mother. So the Divine Mother is what we have within us that prepares us for the hero's journey. And our hero's journey is stepping into our divine nature. Our hero's journey is when we acknowledge what it is that works through us, for us, as us. It is when we acknowledge that if God is everywhere present and is all things, everything that we can't see, everything we can see, it's everything that's ever been and ever will be, that we have to be an expression of that quality. That is the hero's journey, remembering that we are an emanation of God also, and that we're here to express the brightest version of ourselves. And that's ongoing. That is ongoing. Because every time we express the next brightest version of ourselves, there's yet another new thing for us to express. Right? Like Jesus said, we would do all the things that he did and more. This is a continual growth process for us, right? To discover all the things that we're capable of. So the hero's journey is about stepping into our divine potential, which we expand every single day. Every single day. Now, there's a story of Jesus in the Bible about stepping into his own divine potential and how his mom helped out with that. And it's the story when they're at the wedding and they run out of wine. I think everybody's heard that story. So they run out of wine, and Mary looks to Jesus and she says, "They have no wine." That's all she says. They have no wine. And he says, "What's it to you, woman? My turn has not yet come." That's what he says. My turn has not yet come. So she tells the servants, she just ignores him. And she turns to the servants and she says, "Do whatever he tells you to do." Okay, she just ignored him and she told the servants to be available. And then he turns the water into the most delicious wine that everybody is talking about how great this wine is. Now, when he said to her, "What's it to you, woman? My turn has not yet come," what he was doing was he was justifying why he wasn't ready to step into his divinity. That was a justification, which we are all really good at, right? Okay, so today, each of us can step into our divine nature, but what's the reason that holds us back? Oh, I need to lose 5 more pounds. I need to take 1 more class. I need to read 1 more book. I need to finish watching the last season of Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Right? We always have some reason. Always have some reason. But we have that within us that doesn't care about all of our reasons. And it makes itself available to us. Mary knew she could not make Jesus step into his divinity. She knew she could not make him get started on his path. But she knew she could make it available to him. right? That's what she could do. She made it an available option by telling the servants, do whatever he tells you to do. See, the divine mother within us also knows our potential. There's a force within us that's always available to us, no matter our excuses and our reasons, which always sound perfectly legitimate when we come up with them. They do. But anything that we need right here and now is available to us. That is the gift of grace. Okay, the grace of Spirit is the givingness of Spirit. It's constantly giving itself to us. Whatever quality that we need is made available. What quality do you need right now? Do you need courage? Do you need faith, compassion, understanding? Whatever quality you need right now is available. We just have to reach out for it. We just have to accept it. We have to accept it. You know, we don't always take advantage of the things that could make our lives easier, right? We don't. So I got sick last Wednesday. It came on real suddenly. I got up Wednesday morning and I felt pretty good. And then all of a sudden I didn't. I was just like, whoa. I mean, Wednesday morning I'm like, okay, I'm going to get ready to go to Unity. Oh, wait, I got to stay home and go back to bed. That's how quick it came on. So my wonderful husband came home that night and he made me some chicken soup, homemade. And so for the next 3 days I lived on soup. But I got up Thursday morning because I was having it for breakfast too. And I had my little bowl and I had my little spoon, right? And he's made this gigantic container of it. And I'm taking this itty bitty spoon and I'm just like spooning it into the bowl. But I look over here on the counter and we have one of those containers that has all the big spoons for cooking on the stove, right? The big stirring spoons. And there's a ladle in there, right? There's a ladle. And I'm sitting there with my little tiny spoon and I'm looking way over there and I'm like, I could use the ladle and I'd be done right now. But then I was like, oh, but it's so far away. That's what I was thinking. Just doing it the hard way with that tiny, tiny spoon. I finally grabbed something and used it. I didn't use a ladle, but there was a measuring cup that was a little closer, so I used the measuring cup. Sometimes we forget what it is that is working through us, for us, as us. We forget what's available to us, or maybe we don't have faith in it, right? Maybe we think, well, you know, it seems to work for everybody else, but stuff never works for me. Okay, so maybe that's why we're not using that. So how, right? If we've got the qualities of the Divine Mother within us that makes everything available to us and believes in our potential, how do we use those qualities to get back into alignment with that so we see those and we take advantage of them, we use them, right, for our highest good? In the Daily Word, there was this verse from Isaiah. As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Okay, so as a mother comforts her child, that's about nurturing and believing in. That there's that within us that always remembers our true nature, and it gives us whatever we need. But also Jerusalem is an important part of this verse because metaphysically, Jerusalem represents the heart and the seat of our spiritual power. And we get to the spiritual power by going into our heart with peace. And we commune with God, right? This is what prayer is all about, is communing with God. This is when we tell ourselves over and over again, God is everywhere present. God is everything that has ever been. It's everything I can't see. It's everything I can see. And that means I must be a part of that. I must be. And because I am from God, I must be like what I come from. This is what we have to remind ourselves of over and over again. And we do that by going into our heart. Okay, Jerusalem, the seat of our power. When we are in communion with God, we receive the comfort and the peace and the understanding. We receive that. We can feel it within us. We can feel it as a part of us. You see, we are in a new age. We are in a new age. Right now is really different from 100 years ago. Like even when the unity movement started, okay, when the New Thought movement in general started, there were people who understood this, but not that many. And right now, even more than 30 years ago, right now, there are more of us that are coming into this understanding of our divine nature, that we are divine within. There is an indwelling divinity. Divinity is not way out there somewhere. It is within us. That the Christ presence is within us. And we live Christ's message when we take responsibility for our choices, when we make choices that honor our divine nature, when we make choices that are from love and not fear. This is a new age. This is different. We are on a path right now that is so different than what anybody has ever been on before. Okay, right now. So it is our spiritual charge to recognize the divinity within us. It's not a luxury. It's not a pastime. It is now our spiritual charge to recognize our own divinity, because we are a community, and community means we go forward together, right? We go forward together. Nobody goes off to enlightenment. I'm like, see you guys, good luck with all that enlightenment stuff. I'm out of here. Okay, nobody does that now. We are a community. We go forward together, which means it is our charge to step into our own divine nature so we can see it in other people when they cannot see it for themselves. That's what a divine mother does. She sees it in her divine child when her divine child does not yet have awareness of it. And we do this through example. We live our lives through an example, right? We allow our own divine nature to express through us. We're giving form to the formless. Right, we're giving life to our life experience. We're letting the divine express through us. Now remember, just after the Civil War, mothers were called forth to promote peace through unity and connection. Mothers were the ones who were called forth to help those who were struggling. It was the mothers that society looked to for help. Okay, society looked to the mothers to be the force for good. Now, when we remember, okay, the qualities of the Divine Mother, we remember there's a force working through us, so we can step into our divine potential, and anything we possibly need is made available to us. That means when we forget, really we just go to our heart. We don't have to go off someplace to receive spiritual understanding. That's not what we do now. Here we are waking. We go into our own heart, right? We're that force for good. And we see God as everywhere present. And that changes us. That changes us so we can be that light for others. You know, when we're a light for someone else, we're calling forth the light in them, even if they can't yet see it in themselves. When we see it for them, we call it forth. Now, there is a story I just learned recently about a divine mother who was made manifest in our world. You know, sometimes we have these appearances of the divine to help us just when we need help. And this was Our Lady of Guadalupe. Now, she appeared to a people who could not yet hold their own light because of what they had gone through. She first appeared to the people of Mexico in 1531, and the native people, they had believed in the wisdom of the heart. They believed in the power of community, that we all go forward together. And they believed that it was the utmost importance to live in harmony with the planet. Right? You lived in harmony. You lived in kindness with the world around you. But the Spanish conquistadors came in and they conquered these peoples and converted them to Christianity. But the Spanish had a way different. Aaron's back like, no, not me. He's from Spain. The Spanish believed in the intellectual pursuits. Okay, they didn't trust the wisdom of the heart. They wanted to know. They wanted to know everything. They wanted the facts. They did not believe in the power of community. They believed in individual salvation. Right? Okay, I'm saved. I'm out of here. Good luck, you guys. Okay, That's individual salvation, okay, leaving everybody behind. Or it's getting left behind. They also believed that the earth was property. And so anything they could get from the earth was theirs, and they could make money on it. Now, what happened was the native people of Mexico, they went through a big culture clash. Their own culture was being suppressed. They had lost their freedom, and this led to feeling hopeless. And so one morning, there's a peasant named Juan Diego, and he's on his way to church in the barrio. And all of a sudden, this beautiful heavenly music filled the air, and a beautiful woman of light appeared to him, and she was dressed like an Aztec princess. She said to him that she was the mother of God, and that he needed to go to the bishop because she needed to have a temple or a shrine built for her. So people had somewhere to go when they needed strength, when they needed compassion, when they needed healing. They could go to her, and she could bestow that on them. So Juan Diego went to the bishop, and the bishop was like, yeah, you know what, I need a miracle. You need to show me a miracle for me to believe this. So Juan Diego left. He wasn't sure about the miracle, but the next thing he found out was that his uncle was direly ill. He was dying. The Lady of Light appeared to him again, and she said, your uncle is healed, and now I need you to go to the top of this mountain or hill, and you need to pick some roses and give them to the bishop. Well, what's interesting is this time of year, the roses were not in bloom. But Juan Diego goes to the top of this hill, and there are roses blooming. Now, he lays out his cloak, right? And he had this cloak, and it was made out of cactus fibers, of all things. But it was durable and could last like 20 to 60 years, okay? But he lays the roses in the cloak, and the Lady of Light helps arrange these roses. He takes the cloak and the roses to the bishop. He just drops them out on the floor. The flowers kind of fall out and leave an image of the Lady of Light burned into this cloak. Well, not burned in, but actually it's been subjected to scientific test, and nobody can figure out how the image got there. And this cloak, made of fibers that at best can last 60 years, is now almost 500 years old. The Kodak company went in to use their own technology to see if they could figure out the image on here, because there's some interesting things about the image, and even Kodak could not figure this out. So you can read about that on the internet. But see, she came as a presence to her children just when they needed it. She came to give hope and courage and healing to a people who had no hope in that moment of changing their circumstances. But they still needed a reason to thrive, to be able to still love in spite of the suppression. So she appeared to them just when they needed. See, nobody can start the hero's journey excuse me, if they are feeling broken, if they feel like they can't access their own light, if they're feeling abandoned. And so she came as a light for them. And this is what we are here to do now. We are here to be the light for others. We're here to be the light for ourselves. We're here to be the light for others. This is no longer just a pastime. This is our spiritual charge, because now we know better. Now here we are right here, and we are waking up. That is what we're doing. We are waking up. So holding the light is our charge, and we focus on the qualities of the Divine Mother within us. And that empowers us. There is that within that remembers and knows our divine potential at all time, and it is always urging us toward that potential. It won't force us, but it makes available everything we could possibly need. Excuse me. And when we're not feeling that call of our divine potential, when we're not feeling that connection, where do we go? Say it out loud so I know you know it. Where do we go? The heart. Because the heart is the center of our spiritual power. And when we just close our eyes and move in there and remember that, because God is all things, that means us too. So we can just go into our heart and say, God is everything. God is all things. That means me. That means me. So we remind ourselves we are the activity of God in this world, so we can remember that for other people. So we can all go forward together. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and the hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness, and in everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. All right, I'm going to